Thanks for logging on to Wayne.com for another edition of Inside the Zone. Blake Sebring, as always. Glenn Marini here to talk Komets hockey. This could be the shortest edition of Inside the Zone in history, because I really just have one question, and is it, well, it is, can the Komets come back and win this series down 0-2?
Yeah, I think they could.
Okay, we're done.
Do I think they will? It's hard to say right now. I mean, Rapid City's a very good team, and right now the Komets are playing Rapid City's game. But how many times have we said that this year, that when the Komets get in trouble, it's because they're playing the other guy's game? And, you know, I have never seen a hockey team that talks as much as Rapid City. And it's like, it's a strategy, too. I mean, it gets you off of your game because you're worried about what they're saying and what they're doing and all this chippy stuff, and you forget about what you're going to do, which is exactly what happened in Game 1. The Komets completely got flustered, and that's why they lost the game. That and some lousy defense.
Is that something that really concerns you? Because, you know, in years past when they've added a Hodgman, he's an agitator, a guy that gets in other people's heads. You know, Huckalo does that with the way he plays, how defensive he is at forward when they had him in the years past. And even, you know, other players. McMillan could do that a little bit as well when he wasn't, you know, in the playoffs where fighting isn't such a big deal. Is that a big concern, just the kind of mental in your head?
Oh, I think it's just part of the game. You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, there are cheap shots in playoff hockey, and, you know, you don't retaliate. Well, the Komets retaliated a lot on Friday night, and that got them in the penalty box. I mean, that's part of the reason that, you know, Rapid City had so many more power plays than the Komets did. The Komets didn't retaliate as much on Saturday, and they led most of the game. They played well. They just weren't as smart in the end as they needed to be.
You mentioned the power play. They've given up 2 power play goals in each of the games. You can't give up 4 power play goals in 2 games.
Well, and the way they did it, too, with the defenseman getting sucked in well away from the play. I mean, where Nick Boucher is one-on-one with, you know, one-on-one with the shooter, or he's got a guy shooting the puck, and then there's another guy for Rapid City between him and the shooter. So who does he take? Does he take the shooter, or does he take the guy who's 5 feet in front of him? You know, so he's got to make that decision. And there's nobody around. I mean, they were just awful that way, just awful goals. So
that's been one of their bugaboos, is penalty kill. But also the third period has not been their strongest period in these first 2 games.
No, and it's always Rapid City's strongest period. I mean, they are just really strong in the third period. You know, and everybody says, well, they got their backup goalie. And, well, their backup goalie's won a Central Hockey League title, too. I mean, he's won one in Colorado. He's not a slough. I mean, you know, he has had comparable numbers to Bataccio all year. So, I mean, he's like 9-2-2 in the regular season. I mean, he's had really good numbers. He's a really good goalie. But there's nobody in front of him either. I mean, Colin Chalk has 3 goals. One's a 2-on-1. One was a rebound in front, and the other one was a deflection off a PC shot for the power play. But, I mean, really, there just hasn't been anything in front. I mean, nobody's getting there. They're not paying the price to get there.
All right, so you dust off this past weekend. You forget about it. You've got to win 3 straight if you're going to win this series. The first 2 in that 3-game stretch are at home, where the Komets are good. Nick Boucher's been fantastic in the playoffs. Do you look at this from the rest on out, like 1 game at a time? I know it's a cliche.
I go 1 shift at a time. I mean, really do. And that's, like I wrote today, that's when usually they perform their best, is when, you know, nobody else thinks they have a chance, and they somehow pull through. And then they seem to get momentum that way. The first game they usually just scrape by, and then they play better the third game, and the 5th game, who knows what could happen. I mean, both teams are going to be exhausted from the travel if they get there, and you know, you just. When I met the bus last night when they got back, and it was really interesting. I mean, considering they'd had to ride 20 hours in the bus, they were not in too bad of spirits. You know, I mean, you'd think they'd be. They were not happy at all about the results from the weekend, obviously, but they were more. I was like, it was more of determination. Let's get to Game 3. You know, I mean, it was more of, I think we know what we got to do. We just got to do it type thing. It was very. I didn't see any panic. I didn't see any, oh man, we're just beat. You know, I didn't see that at all. It was like, we still think it's going to be a long series, and it's up to us to make it that way, type of thing. You know, I mean, it was interesting.
And hopefully it is. But as you wrote in your column. history, not necessarily on the Komets side when they're down 0-2 in the playoffs. I think you said the last two times they've done it was 2008
right.
and 1963.
Yeah.
And they had home ice in those series, so the precedent isn't there necessarily, but
right. And
each year is different.
Well, and look at it this way, too. If you've got to win one game on the road, steal one game, who do you want besides Nick? You know, I mean, who's done it 5 or 6 series in a row? You know, I mean, who else do you want there? You know, there's nobody better, right? You know, to have a chance like that going in, you know. So, you know, you can look at it that way. Who do you want to be your captain for that game other than Chalker? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there is anybody, you know. I mean, you know, so there are some situations, they've been there before. They're not panicked by this. They're not, I guarantee you, they're not laying in bed at night thinking, oh crap, what are we going to do now? You know, they're not doing that. They've been there, they've done it, they know they can do it. Now, will they do it? You know, it really takes the bigger picture out of it, and it lets you focus on the little thing. You know, it really does. It's like, you know, okay, what do I have to do? Not what the team has to do, it's what do I have to do to focus on this one game.